It was a demand so outrageous that even the California courts couldn't take it seriously. Imagine asking a judge to legally enforce your right to weekly yacht charters, private helicopters, and diplomatic immunity, all while you are no longer a working royal. That is exactly what has reportedly just happened in the explosive divorce filing between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But if the Sussexes thought they could strong-arm the monarchy into paying for a billionaire lifestyle, they just received a brutal wake-up call. In a ruling that is already being called a legal farce by experts, the Superior Court of California has thrown out Meghan's luxury clause, shattering the financial expectations of the separation. But the court ruling was just the beginning. At exactly 9:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time this morning, the royal family broke their silence. Princess Anne, stepping forward with the full weight of the crown, didn't just issue a statement. She issued a warning. And while the legal battle raged on one side, a viral podcast by Jordan Peterson has opened a second front exposing a shadow past involving superyachts in Dubai that threatens to destroy a carefully crafted reputation forever. Let's dive straight into the documents that have left legal historians absolutely stunned. The centerpiece of this controversy is a clause formerly referred to as the Sovereign Lifestyle Accommodation Provision. According to the detailed statement released by the Royal Communications Office, this was part of an internal agreement allegedly signed by Harry and Meghan in early 2020, right before they packed their bags and left the UK. The contents of this clause are staggering. It wasn't about security or basic privacy. It listed a set of non-negotiable living conditions that Meghan reportedly expected to be maintained throughout the marriage. We are talking about access to royal diplomatic privileges, helicopter-accessible private residences, and perhaps most shockingly weekly yacht charters, with full amenities valued at over £300,000 per trip. It didn't stop there. The demands included exclusive use of private jets for all intercontinental travel and 5-star equivalent spa-level accommodations in every residence, whether permanent or temporary. Princess Anne's statement clarified that these demands were never approved by the Queen or the royal household. They were personal expectations. Yet Meghan cited the failure to meet these obligations as a primary reason for the breakdown of the marriage. The response from the California court was swift and humiliating. On January 30th, 2026, during a closed session, the court rejected these claims outright. They deemed the clause incompatible with U.S. family law, stating that no civil marriage contract can require provisions that are more fitting of royal diplomacy than lawful spousal support. In a final blow, the judgment labeled the filing a legal curiosity bordering on absurdity. But while the court dealt with the money, Princess Anne was preparing to deal with the morality. Princess Anne, speaking in her capacity as the Lord High Steward of Royal Family Affairs, did not mince words. The royal family has officially refused to be the bank account for a lifestyle they never sanctioned. Her statement was precise. The royal family does not condone the misrepresentation of private marital expectations as royal obligations. This is a crucial distinction. Anne made it clear that any assertion that the sovereign grant the taxpayer-funded pot of money that keeps the monarchy running was bound by these luxury demands is categorically false. She emphasized a clear separation between the finances of the crown and the private spending patterns of individuals who have exited the monarchy. This is about more than just a divorce settlement. It's about the survival of the institution. Anne reiterated that the monarchy is still committed to the 1994 royal spending guidelines set by Queen Elizabeth II, which prioritize fiscal restraint and self-sufficiency. Under King Charles III, this has evolved into the New Sovereign Compact, aiming to reduce taxpayer dependence by 40% over the next decade. In this climate of austerity, the idea of funding £300,000 yacht trips is not just impossible, it's political suicide. But just as the palace thought they had contained the financial damage, a new scandal erupted from across the Atlantic that no one saw coming. While the lawyers were arguing over jets and spas, the internet was set ablaze by a podcast episode released on January 31st by renowned psychologist Jordan Peterson. Titled The Mirage of Virtue, the episode racked up over 15 million streams in just 48 hours. In it, Peterson didn't just analyze Meghan's psychology, he presented what he called a verified dossier of her life before Harry. Peterson accused Meghan of building her post-royal persona on archetypal hypocrisy. He argues that while she parades as a feminist victim of a patriarchal monarchy, her past is deeply woven into the very patriarchal networks she now condemns. The focus of his investigation, a series of networking voyages aboard ultra-luxury yachts docked in the Persian Gulf between 2009 and 2011. The podcast outlines in forensic detail Meghan's alleged involvement with a vessel named the Golden Mirage, a superyacht valued at over $50 million. Citing confidential emails, deleted photographs, and testimony from former hospitality directors, Peterson painted a picture of Meghan not as a struggling actress, but as an ambitious connector between Western entertainment and Eastern capital. He described her as a modern-day Icarus, flying too close to the sun of global influence, with wings waxed in calculated charm. The accusation is devastating that she used these environments to facilitate philanthropic-themed events that were actually fronts for high-level private investment deals. Peterson claims she was flown in via private Gulfstream charters covered by watertight non-disclosure agreements to serve as a bridge between Dubai investors and Hollywood ventures. This isn't just about partying on a boat. Peterson argues that this specific period creates a massive contradiction in her life story. He points to the timeline. In 2010, she is allegedly networking on the Golden Mirage. In 2011, just months later, her public appearances skyrocket, and she secures her breakthrough role on Suits. Peterson contends that the girl next door narrative was curated, possibly manufactured, to erase this transactional period of her career. He raises questions about her associates at the time, specifically mentioning Marcus Anderson, the Soho House executive, known for his influence in elite circles. The dossier even alludes to secondary connections with figures linked to the 1MDB corruption scandal, though no direct evidence links Meghan to the fraud itself. To make matters worse, leaked images have started circulating on encrypted forums. These heavily filtered photos, allegedly pulled from Instagram accounts deleted in 2015, show a figure resembling Meghan aboard a multi-tier yacht. Metadata from one image reportedly places it off the coast of Jumeirah Beach in July 2010. The palace, usually silent on such gossip, felt compelled to clarify that no member of the royal family was involved in these events. They are distancing themselves at light speed. But while the past is haunting, Meghan Princess Anne is far more concerned about the future, specifically the future of the children. If the financial demands angered the palace, the situation with Archie and Lilibet has infuriated them. In her statement, Princess Anne moved away from legal jargon and spoke in unmistakably human terms. She condemned what she called the casual weaponization of children as brand extensions and emotional leverage. This appears to target the ongoing custody dispute. Sources inside the royal household confirm that Anne has personally requested internal reports assessing the stability of the children's lives. She wants to know how often they have changed residences since 2022 and whether commercial filming schedules are interfering with their daily routines. The palace believes the pattern has been disruptive. Anne accused the couple of allowing brand management to dominate family decisions. She stated, "It is not enough to bring children into the world under a royal surname if one fails to provide them security, stability, and ethical direction." The criticism was blunt. Anne reportedly views the attempt to frame the lack of luxury accommodations as a marital breach, to be grotesquely detached from parental reality. This isn't about mortgages or childcare allowances. It's about stability. Anne's aides confirm she has ordered legal advisors to prepare contingency frameworks. If custody arrangements become unstable, or if the children are exposed to commercial exploitation, the palace is consulting with child welfare specialists regarding potential future scenarios, including schooling in the UK. This is a clear signal the children are the red line. With the marriage seemingly collapsing and the yacht girl allegations swirling the question on everyone's mind, will Harry come back? Jordan Peterson asked this directly in his podcast. Does the crown reintegrate the prince while rejecting the narrative that built him? We might get an answer sooner than we think. Palace sources report that Princess Anne will host an unprecedented official press conference at Marlborough House on Friday, February 6th. She is expected to define the monarchy's stance on Harry's status, the custody of the children, and the media storm. Insiders say the tone is shifting. For the first time since 2020, senior advisors are discussing partial reintegration, but the conditions are strict. First, a full legal and financial disentanglement from the Sussex brand. No more Archewell, no more Netflix. Second, a public letter of intent, affirming personal accountability and renouncing previous attacks on the monarchy. Third, there will be no automatic access to royal funds. Harry would be subject to a probationary reassessment by a subcommittee including the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. This is what Anne calls symbolic closure. The Crown is seeking to end the half-in, half-out limbo. No more royal references in memoirs, no more ambiguity. You are either with the firm or you are completely on your own. But if you think this story ends with a few parties on a boat, you are missing the darker picture. Jordan Peterson's Dossier didn't just list dates and coordinates. It hinted at a network that goes far beyond Hollywood agents and casting calls. The podcast dropped a name that has sent shockwaves through the international intelligence community, Joe Low. For those who don't know, Joe Low is the fugitive Malaysian financier at the center of the 1MDB scandal, one of the largest financial frauds in history. While the palace has been careful to state there is no direct evidence linking Meghan to Low's crimes, Peterson's verified dossier alludes to secondary connections that are impossible to ignore. The narrative of overworked glamour, luxury yachts, and soft power dinners described in the Dubai timeline undeniably echoes the exact scenes described in Low's own legal cases. The transcript mentions scenes described in his own legal case, suggesting a world where lines between social grooming and strategic matchmaking were intentionally blurred. And right in the middle of this web was Marcus Anderson. Known as the unsung architect of Meghan's modern persona, Anderson is a Soho House executive whose influence is legendary. Peterson argues that Anderson's network was instrumental in orchestrating these private events. The implication is terrifying. Was the future Duchess unknowingly or knowingly moving in circles funded by dirty money? The royal household's reaction to this specific detail was telling. In an incredibly rare move, they issued a second note to the press on February 1st, clarifying that no member of the Windsor family has any ties to Mr. Low or Mr. Anderson beyond courtesy acknowledgements. This is a disavowal. In the world of royal PR, when they specifically name people they don't know, it means they are terrified of being associated with them. They are building a firewall because they know smoke usually leads to fire. As these yachting allegations rewrite the history of Meghan's early career, one voice is conspicuously missing: Oprah Winfrey. The woman who gave the Sussexes the platform to launch their initial attack on the monarchy in 2021 has gone completely dark. According to the latest reports, Oprah has declined to comment on the contents of the Peterson podcast. This silence is deafening. Media commentators are now openly questioning whether the original bombshell interview was a setup. Critics are arguing that if the Golden Mirage trip happened, as described, it severely damages the narrative Oprah helped sell to the world, the story of a feminist icon wronged by aristocratic tradition. If Meghan was flying on Gulfstream G650 charters and rubbing shoulders with oil executives and hedge fund magnates in 2010, the naive outsider story collapses. The question now circulating in industry circles is, did the interview omit critical disclosures about her past, or was Oprah simply shown a curated version of the truth? Peterson's podcast suggests the latter, that the girl next door image was manufactured to erase a transactional period that doesn't align with today's moral branding. By staying silent, Oprah is protecting her own brand. But her refusal to defend Meghan speaks volumes about the shifting tides in Hollywood. The A-list is stepping back, watching to see if the house of cards is about to fall. While Hollywood retreats, the palace is advancing with a new legal strategy that insiders are calling symbolic closure. This is perhaps the most ruthless part of Princess Anne's plan. The Royal Legal Office has reportedly documented over 100 instances in the past year where crown branding was leveraged without authorization. We're talking about promotional materials for book streaming content and public speaking tours where Harry and Meghan were advertised using titles that are technically no longer in active use. The palace views this as brand hijacking. They are tired of the ambiguity. The concept of symbolic closure refers to a formal severance not just of duties, but of narratives. Anne is expected to announce that the Crown will no longer tolerate the repackaging of institutional suffering for commercial consumption. This means no more memoirs that use the royal crest on the cover, no more podcast biographies that imply a current connection to the sovereign. The message is simple: you can leave the family, but you cannot take the logo with you. This is a direct response to what Anne called the corrosive effect of performative morality. The monarchy is preparing to challenge these associations legally. If a digital platform or a foreign news network tries to sell a story by linking it to the royal family's official operations, the palace is ready to sue. They are shutting down the half-in, half-out limbo that has allowed the Sussexes to monetize their titles for the last 5 years. So where does this leave Meghan, with the California court rejecting her luxury demands and the palace exposing her brand weaponization? She is backed into a corner. Her legal team has declined all media requests following the ruling, but silence is rarely Meghan's strategy for long. Speculation is mounting that a retaliatory interview is already in the works. Sources suggest she is in talks with a US-based network sympathetic to her previous narrative. But the ground has shifted. The Dubai dossier and the court's dismissal of her $300,000 yacht demands make it much harder to play the victim. Any interview now would likely be an interrogation about her past rather than a coronation of her future. The palace knows this. That's why they aren't waiting for her to speak. They are preempting the narrative with facts, figures, and a focus on the children. By framing the dispute as a battle between parental duty and commercial ambition, Princess Anne has taken the moral high ground. The upcoming press conference on February 6th isn't just an announcement, it's a checkmate. The question isn't what Meghan will say next, it's whether anyone will still be willing to believe it. The events of the last few days represent a turning point. The rejection of the luxury clause by the courts, combined with the explosive Golden Mirage allegations, has stripped away the victimhood narrative that Meghan and Harry have relied on for years. Princess Anne's intervention is not just about defending the crown, it's about re-establishing reality. The palace is drawing a hard line. They will not be used as a backdrop for personal theatrics, and they will not tolerate the projection of one's past entanglements into the symbolic body of the crown. As Anne famously said in her briefing, those who leave must not drag shadows back into the light. The upcoming press conference on February 6th promises to be the final word. The Sussex saga is no longer a celebrity divorce. It is a test of parental accountability and institutional integrity. As the world watches to see if Harry will accept the terms of surrender, one thing is clear. The days of demanding $300,000 yacht trips while claiming to be a victim are officially over. What do you think will happen on February 6th? Will Harry return to the UK alone, or is this the end of his relationship with the royal family forever? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe as we track this developing story.